America, we got to get back to doing what's expected of us as free citizens in this democracy. That means being tolerant, being respectful, staying informed, and being engaged. I'm former Congressman Joe Walsh. Follow me here and join the millions of Americans who are renewing their social contract with each other. The social contract, it's on us. Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Hope you all had a good weekend. Former Congressman Joe Walsh with you. Former Republican, new Democrat Joe Walsh with you this Monday. Look, no matter where you stand on what's going on in the Middle East right now, no matter where you stand on what Trump did, ordering the bombing of Iran's nuclear facilities, no matter where you stand on Israel, no matter where you stand on everything that's going on in the Middle East right now, just know this. Trump is a reckless, dangerous idiot who cannot be trusted by anyone to do the right thing, to do what's in America's interest, to do what's in Israel's interest. Again, no matter where you stand, pro-Israel, you can't stand Israel, way to go, we bombed Iran, oh my God, worst thing we've ever done. No matter where you stand, we've got a dangerous guy in the White House. Someone who's utterly incapable of acting in anyone's interest but his own. I've said now for years that Donald Trump is unfit to be president. And generally, when I say that, and someone says, why is Trump unfit? I generally say he's incapable of telling the truth. He believes he's above the law. He is, in fact, an authoritarian. And I always add this. Trump is a psychopath. And without getting too far down into the definition of a psychopath, just at this level, Donald Trump is only capable of caring about Donald Trump. He's only capable of acting in his own interests. He's utterly incapable of acting in anyone else's interest. He's utterly incapable of putting anyone or anything above himself. He's utterly incapable of putting the country's interest before his own, our country's interest. He's utterly incapable of putting Israel's interest above his own. That's a really, really scary thing to have someone like that in the White House, someone like that calling the shots, someone like that making decisions, someone who is humanly incapable of caring about anyone but himself. He's incapable of empathy. And he's the guy deciding we're going to drop a bomb or 2 or 3 or 10 or 20. It's a scary thought. And the question, right, when Trump bombs with our big bunker budget, 30,000 pound bombs, pulled off immaculately by our military, by our men and women in the military. All thanks goes to them. Um, did Trump make the right call? How much credit should Trump get? I don't know. I don't know if Trump made the right call. You know where I stand. Iran must never have nukes. Iran, for the past 45 years, has been the single greatest source of death and terror in the Middle East. They've pledged death to America and death to Israel for 45 years. That country, that regime must never have a nuke. Israel must always be protected. I'm very pro-Israel. The safety, the security, the prosperity of Israel is second to none. But did Trump make the right call? I don't know, right? We don't know. Nobody knows. Trump comes out Saturday night after the mission had been completed, and he said, we totally obliterated Iran's nukes, totally obliterated all of their nuke capability. Well, that was a lie because nobody knew Saturday night. Nobody knows yet right now. The BDA, the bombing damage assessment, hasn't been done. When Donald Trump said that Saturday night, that we've totally obliterated Iran's nuke capability, Donald Trump was lying because he didn't know and nobody knew. And come Sunday morning, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs said as much. We don't know. We need to assess. But did he make the right call? Does he get credit? I don't know. We don't know yet. What we know about Trump is he's reckless, he's an idiot, he's dangerous, and he's a psychopath. So we know that probably, and it's reported today, that the reason Trump ordered the bombing of Iran's nuclear facilities was because he wanted to be on the winning side. He was watching Fox News and just loved how Israel was kicking ass. Just to remind everybody, when Israel launched their attack against Iran 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump opposed what Israel was doing. When Israel launched their attack, Trump distanced themselves from Israel's attack 2 weeks ago. But then, oh my God, the attack went great and was going great and was kicking butt. And Trump's watching Fox News and seeing how well Israel's attack is going, that he began to try to take credit for it. And the reporting is that then and there, he decided, I got to get to the front of the parade. I want everybody to think Donald Trump is the greatest. Remember, he's only capable of acting in his own interest. So reporting is that Trump decided a week and a half ago to drop these big old 30,000 ton bombs to get the credit because Israel was doing so well. What we know for certain, again, no matter where you stand on this, is that Trump can't be trusted to make a decision like this. He can't be trusted to act in America's interest or Israel's interest or anybody's interest but his own. Israel knows they can't trust Trump. Our allies know that they cannot trust Trump. Ukraine clearly knows that they cannot trust Trump. And I think a lot of his voters will eventually realize that Trump can't be trusted. Before I get to the 2 points on this, I wanted to get to this morning, all credit goes to Israel. All credit for what's happened in the Middle East since October 7th goes to Israel. October 7th happened. And when October 7th happened, Israel said no more. That's it. We're never going back to that Middle East. Israel, after October 7th, said no more. No more will we live next to neighbors who do not believe we have a right to exist. And Israel said, I ain't going to live in that Middle East anymore. And then Israel set about to do something about it. And they took Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis and the Islamic Jihad and Syria. And they said, boom, boom, we're going to decimate, cripple, wipe out, or severely weaken all of our enemies. The latest being Iran. Israel gets all the credit for what's happening in Iran. Israel gets all the credit for the decimation of Hamas, the decimation of Hezbollah, for what's happened in Syria, the decimation of all these other Islamist terror groups. Israel gets all the credit because Israel said, I will no longer live next to neighbors who do not believe I have a right to exist. Israel's been driving this whole thing. Trump didn't want Israel to go after Iran. Once it went well, Trump jumped on the train. Thank God for Israel. Always thank God for Israel. Two aspects, though, of this, whether, we're now at war in the Middle East or whatever, whether these are just a one-off surgical strikes or what, or who knows any of that. The mission Saturday night, the B-52s that dropped those bombs, and Keith, show me that first headline about the military and their war plans, if you can. Let me move you for a sec. TikTok over here. This headline: the Pentagon worked up a ruse to fool Iran on these strikes because they feared Trump would give away their secrets on social media. Look at that headline. Look at that reporting. Our military, in making their war plans for this strike Saturday night, they had to factor in the sad reality that Trump can't be trusted with our own intelligence, with our secret plans. So our military designed an entire decoy attack. Because Trump, they were worried. I mean, just think about this for a moment. Our military's worried that Trump's going to blab, that Trump's going to reveal our secrets and endanger our service members. And because our military felt so strongly about that, our military, for this attack Saturday night, developed a ruse, a decoy. They sent up 2 fleets of the B-52s that were going to drop the bombs on Iran's nukes facilities. One set of B-52s went westbound and one went eastbound, both from Missouri. And the set of B-52s that went westbound was purposely visible to flight trackers. So Iran and everybody could think, look at this. Look at these B-52s heading west from the middle of America. It was all a ruse. It was all a decoy. They didn't carry anything. They weren't carrying anything. The other set of B-52s was eastbound, and they were the ones that very secretly and covertly got into Iran and dropped the 30,000-pound bombs. Point being this: the military had to go to those lengths because Trump can't be trusted. They were worried that Trump on his social media would give up the secret, would give up what we're doing. Who can blame our military? Trump can't be trusted. He's an idiot. The commander-in-chief cannot be trusted with our secret war plans. Trump's out there posting on social media, everybody evacuate Tehran within 24 hours, unconditional surrender. He's just putting out a bunch of shit. Our military was worried he was going to put out, boom, here's what we're doing. So they set up this decoy band of B-52s. Trump can't be trusted with our own intelligence. He made up his mind. He made up his mind a while ago that he was going to do this, and our military was convinced he was going to blab. And then more troubling is what Trump posted last night, is what the reckless, dangerous, psychopathic idiot Donald Trump posted last night, talking about regime change. Keith, if you've got that, put that up. Now, again, let me be clear with you and keep that up for a moment, Keith. Iran must never have a nuke. Israel must always be safe and secure. But screw regime change. Israel and America don't decide what government the people of Iran have. If there's going to be regime change in Iran, the Iranian people will lead to that regime change. The Iranian people will decide who their rulers are, who their government is. This notion of regime change, here we go again, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. America's going to put boots on the ground to put in place a new government in Iran, right? That was the disaster, the fiasco that was Iraq. We're going to do that again. Trump ran against all of that. Trump said he wouldn't do that. Trump said, unlike all those stupid Republican presidents, Trump would never engage in regime change and get America in a quagmire in the Middle East. Trump comes out last night and touts regime change in Iran. In a post, in a tweet, Donald Trump threatened Iran with regime change. Make Iran great again, Trump said. Maybe it's time for America to lead regime change in Iran. Now, MAGA, how many of you who like what Trump has done this weekend, how many of you are supportive of regime change? Was this just a surgical strike to take out their nukes? Or do you want America overthrowing the Iranian government and putting in place, like we did in Iraq, an American and Israeli supported government? You be all about that? You be all about that, MAGA? Would you? Is that what you voted for, MAGA? Did you vote for regime change? Again, the only point here is Donald Trump, the president of the United States, publicly last night calls for regime change, American-led regime change in Iran. Well, that's scary. I mean, that's wrong. And I think even if Trump tried to engage in that, even Trump would lose some of his MAGA supporters, because I've talked to enough of Trump supporters. They don't want America. They don't want another Iraq. They don't want America invading. Is that what you want? Hey, MAGA Trump supporters, do you want America invading another Middle East country and putting in place their government? Is that what you want? That's what Donald Trump last night said that we should do. Again, I know. I love Trump's supporters. I love Trump's voters. But they have the damnedest time with the truth. Trump's voters have the damnedest time with facts, handling facts and reality. And here's their dear leader last night calling for regime change in Iran. And I tell you what, Hannity and Fox News won't talk about it, and Trump's supporters won't believe it, even though Trump himself put it out. He's reckless. He's dangerous. He's idiotic. And he's psychopathic. And he right now is calling the shots. I'm pro-Israel. Off the charts pro-Israel. But I'm scared to death of who is in the White House right now, because this is the guy who would get us into another Middle East war. This is a guy who would start World War III, because he's such an idiot. And the test is like Trump's MAGA base. What do they believe in? What issues do they believe in? Is Trump's MAGA base, are they pro-war or anti-war? Are they pro, let's get involved in the Middle East, or are they, let's stay out of the Middle East? The answer I always give is Trump's base is just pro-Trump. Trump's base, Trump's voters are not driven by issues. They're driven by loyalty to him. Trump could bomb the shit out of Iran, and his voters will still support him. Trump could have not done what he did Saturday night, and his voters will still support him. It could be a one-off surgical strike and we're done, and Trump's voters will support him. Trump could put American troops on the ground in Iran and try to overthrow Iran's government and enact in regime change, and Trump's voters would still support him. Because for Trump's voters, it's just all about supporting him. Trump could be pro-life. Trump could be pro-choice. Trump could be pro-free trade, pro-tariff. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Trump could be open borders. Trump could be build a wall around America. His voters will still support him either way, because it's all about him. Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz had a big fight last week, right? Oh my God, right? Two different. Ted Cruz would be a regime change advocate. Tucker Carlson didn't even want us bombing Iran the other night. But you know what? At the end of the day, both those two guys will support Trump no matter what he does. It's all about him. It's all about devotion to a man. And yeah, that's scary shit. Hey, I had an amazing conversation. Let's segue. You all know, everybody, MAGA and lefty and everybody in between. I am out every week having conversations with the American people, face-to-face conversations, because I think the American people want to have face-to-face conversations with people we agree with, conversations with people we disagree with. So I'm going out every week and I'm having these face-to-face conversations around the country. We're filming these face-to-face conversations around the country, and we're putting them up on my social media, on Substack, because again, I think there's so much to learn from, and I think people want to hear and watch face-to-face conversations. I had an amazing conversation a while back in Philadelphia with a young first-generation immigrant from Nigeria. Rotimi Adeyoye is his name. He's currently a law student in Philadelphia. He's done work over his young life so far on the issue of voting rights. His mother and father came over from Nigeria in the late 1980s to avoid a military coup there. Rotimi was born here in the United States of America, and getting his perspective, and we talked a lot about his mom's perspective as a new immigrant in this country from Nigeria, how dang special it is to be an American. Rotimi and I sat in a park in Philadelphia and had a really cool conversation. Here's just a short snippet. Go ahead, Keith.
But I think a really pivotal experience for me was when I was in college. I had gotten a little bit of trouble in campus, really stupid stuff, just drinking.
Talk to me. What'd you do?
This is long story short, got some trouble, and I was kind of looking to plug myself into a bigger community. Didn't realize at that time, but that was a subtext of what I was trying to figure out. And I ended up, becoming a voting rights organizer on campus, and ultimately ended up running this club.
How'd you
that
pick
was,
that? How'd you pick that?
You know, I think I picked it because the club advisor at the time was someone that was really kind and really reached out to me, and I had this interest for politics. You know, I loved to read the news. I loved the discussions. I thought it was exciting. Debates were happening, but I ended up registering a lot of voters during the 2016 election with, you know, big election with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. And what happened is I not only registered voters on my campus, but also in the upstate New York community. So I wasn't just talking to college kids like me, but you're talking to folks in rural New York that don't watch political news every day. They're thinking about, you know, taking care of their kids. They're thinking about putting food on the table. They're thinking about paying their taxes.
Back up. You, at the age of 20?
Yeah, 20 years old. Yeah.
Out in rural upstate New York.
Yeah.
Trying to get people registered.
Yeah.
You're a handsome guy. But stop there. We'll stop there. Thanks, Keith. Fascinating clip, by the way. Fascinating conversation with Rotimi. I would encourage everybody to listen to the full length version of this conversation. And we've got longer clips up there. All you got to do is go to my Substack, Social Contract with JoeWalsh.substack.com. But this particular part of the conversation, Rotimi is in college in New York. He's a Black immigrant from Nigeria, and he's in rural upstate New York in 2016, trying to get white rural folk registered to vote. And again, on the face of it, here's a young Black kid, a Democrat, a liberal in upstate New York, knocking on the doors of rural white Trump voters, just trying to get people registered to vote. And we had an amazing conversation about that. How did you engage in conversations with these people who so differ from you politically? And he said, look, I got plenty of no thanks and doors slammed in my face. But he did, in fact, get people registered to vote. And he did, in fact, get some of these rural white Americans to engage in political conversations with him, even though they are diametrically opposed politically. And he talked about how they talked about local stuff, stuff going on in their community. Rotimi went to college in this town, and he's out in the country getting rural white folk, trying to get them registered to vote. And again, he's a Democrat, they're Trump voters. So to initiate conversations, Rotimi said he found it helpful to not right away go to the national politics, because that divides us. And the Fox Newses and the MSNBCs and all of them, they try to divide us. He found the only and best way to have conversations with these folks who disagree with him politically, who are a different skin color than him, was to talk about what's going on in their communities, local stuff, of which they all have concerns and of which there's more commonality. There's more agreement. Man, there's an amazing nugget of truth there, right? We talk rightly about how divided this country is. And when we're generally talking about how divided this country is, generally we're talking about the national fight, right? Trump and the Democrats, the deportations, the bombing of Iran. We talk about all the national policies and the national arguments and the national food fight every day, Republicans versus Democrats. While every day going on in this country, in almost every town and city in this country, Trump voters live next door to Trump haters. Republicans live on the same streets as Democrats. We talk about the rural-urban divide. Democrats live in rural America, and Republicans live in urban America. All of us live next to and associate with people we disagree with politically in our own neighborhoods, towns, and communities. So, how to have conversations with these people you disagree with politically? Young Rotimi, and he did this in 2016 when he was like 20 years old, he would just try to begin talking about local issues, about what's going on, good and bad, in the community. And he found that that was a great way to launch a conversation. Great lesson in there for all of us. Avoid the national food fight. You live next door to somebody who you disagree with politically, talk about what's going on in your community first, on your block first, in your neighborhood first. By the way, you want check out the full-length version of this conversation with Rotimi. Go to my Substack, socialcontractwithjoewalsh.substack.com. Thanks, Keith. socialcontractwithjoewalsh.substack.com. We've got a few different versions of some 7, 8, 9-minute clips, and I think we have the whole entire clip up there as well. You can find it. Just look for Conversations with Joe. Go to my Substack. Check it out. We'll have more from Rotimi, my conversation with Rotimi, on Wednesday and Friday this week. As always, shoot me an email if you've got anything on your mind. The Social Contract with Joe Walsh at gmail.com. There it is. Thanks, Keith. All one word. The Social Contract with Joe Walsh at gmail.com. Hey, it's Monday. Big week ahead of you. Stay focused, relax, chill, and be brave.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been The Social Contract with Joe Walsh.